Hi everyone, my name's Lunkey and today we're back on the RTS project. So if you remember in the last video we had a bit of a faff around doing the coding thing. Now I looked back at it and sat for about 5 minutes or so, looked at it and thought, what's happened? What has gone wrong here? Until I realised we'd wrote all this really lovely and pretty much almost perfect code in the create event, not the draw event. For some reason it's completely skipped my mind that you can't draw a sprite from the create event, which, okay, yeah. So basically what I've done is I've copied all this into the draw event, practically identical, if not identical, and it worked. Great, okay, so we don't actually need this at all, nor do we need this. And from that we just moved it into the draw event and it worked perfectly fine. The reason I noticed this was because in the create event, it looks a bit odd at the moment, but you can get the idea. In the create event I tried changing all the bits in here, I tried changing these and all sorts, and nothing happened. I was thinking, what is going on? Why isn't it doing this properly? You know, I changed these and it wouldn't change because of course it was still drawing it in the normal grid based fashion in the draw event, so that was why. Okay, we're not going to do that, we're going to keep it as 2. Also at the moment, if you see, we have our starting point is right in that top corner. We kind of want to have it here, to be honest. We want to start it in the middle, so let's think how we're going to do that, because we want X and Y for the first one. If we just get up our little example thing, we can probably, if we go on here, this was the useful site we found. So that is 0, 0 there in your top corner. So we want 0, 0 to be in our top corner. How are we going to work around this? We're going to add to the X. As a constant, we're going to add half room width. Now this should work in theory. This should place us in, yep, there we go, let's place us in the right place. We do have an isometric grid. Now we can make this a bit bigger, to be honest. This is a bit small, to be fair, so let's make it bigger. We've laid it out now perfectly in a grid. It's really easy, so all we need to do now is change this to say 20. Change this to 20. Now before, whereas we had to manually go in and place all those new tiles, boom, now we've got them. Let's move it up a little bit so that it all fits on. We can just here, plus room height div 2, I guess. That should definitely place us in the, or minus even, should definitely place us in the right place. It should place us spot on. Yep, there you go. So the room is now entirely full up of tiles. That's pretty neat, I'd say. That looks pretty cool, and apart from the fact that it's not quite aligned, because room width isn't quite a full tile, so we're then going to add tile height div 2. Now that's kind of long and complicated, but basically because we've minused half the room width, we weren't in the center, so just to counteract that, I've just added to the half the cell height, so that'll place us directly in the middle. So there you go, we've got units now moving on an isometric grid, which is based off of a grid. It's based solely off this grid here. Now you may be asking why. What is the difference? What extra bonus do you have here? Well, it means that we can now work out what tile we're on. If we go on here, basically there's some long algebra equation things. It simplifies to this, in which you can turn the screen X, we're going to call them, so the on-screen X position, into a grid coordinate, which is very useful. So then what you can do is you can find where our player is or our unit is in the world. We can then convert that from our isometric on-screen thing onto our grid, and we can find out what that tile actually is. So also one thing we can do is we can make a for loop. So for var xx equals 0, these are going to be your standard looping through grid thing. We're going to do a nested for loop. This yy equals 0, yy is less than height, yy plus. So yep, nested for loop to loop through all the grid positions. Then what we're going to do, we're going to have a random number. So we're going to say var ran. It's going to sound random chance. We're going to have irandom. Can irandom choose 0 or not? That's just a thought that's just come to my mind. From 0, yes, I can return 0. So let's go 1, irandom 1. That'll either give us a result of 1 or 0. So we're going to say if ran equals 0. Oh, let's sort that out. That's annoying. So if it equals 1, we're going to have else. This is just some really basic world generation. So if it equals 1, we're going to set it to our grass tile, let's say. Else we'll just leave it as is. So we'll say global.tile grid, open bracket. We're going to use our accessor xx yy equals, we're going to say sprite tile grass. So now half of our tiles should be grass, or we'll just get a horrible mess like that. And that will be to do with these tiles. Yeah, not top center all the time. Let's go check all of these. Top center, tab base, top center. Right, they're all set up now. That was worrying for a second. I thought it was with the code. There you go. Also, you can see when we're on these grass tiles, the wood counter goes up, which is good. That's all working. But now, of course, what we can do is we can convert our X positions into our grid positions. We can then remove that or change it to a normal land tile when we walk over it. So when we mine it, all the way, we could give it a threshold of maybe 1,000 wood, and then it goes. What else can we do? We can also make it so that these things, if you remember, we coded them rather atrociously. If I were to put it in words, because we used, was it the controller? Yeah, we used the color, which we got very manually, and it wasn't very good whatsoever. But they're hard-coded numbers and don't work if you change the color, which is obviously horrendous because it means there's no flexibility whatsoever. So those are the things that I want to work on in the future in those videos. So we're going to work on getting rid of every kind of constant number, making it or automated, which is always great. See, that's what we're going to be working in the next video. The grid is now entirely set up. It's just what we can do with the grid, what we can convert that we've already coded into that grid to make things a lot easier in the future. But yeah, we're set now on the basis now. I'd say we're at a level where we can start to go in more depth. For the moment, we've really hit that base. But yeah, if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, or do you guys want to do, and I will talk to you in the next one.